School's in, gentlemen. Woo. Welcome to the ABCs of rye. Our interpretation, our opinions of introductory to ryes for the newbie. Jimmy loves rye.
Yeah, we're gonna prove today if I really don't like it or if I was just being a little short-sighted.
All right. Well, here's kind of what I came up with. Jay and I talked about this. We know you are like many others out there who aren't just very knowledgeable, aren't experienced in ryes. Maybe the ones that you've tried you haven't liked because they're just too spicy. It's just not your favorite thing. So we came up with what we feel are the 5 best introductory ryes to somebody who is completely new to this deal. And so we have chosen the Woodford Reserve Rye, the Elijah Craig Rye, Wild Turkey 101 Rye, the Baby Saz, Sazerac Rye, and Bullet 95 Rye. And Jay, what do we have for each one of these, and why did we pick these for somebody like Jimmy and many other people out there?
Most of these have a decent amount of corn in them, 30+%, except for the Bullet, which is 95% rye, 5% barley. So that is the closest to 100% rye out here.
Okay.
And the rest are more bourbon, or corn, so they're going to be closer to that kind of bourbony notes.
This is like a little education of why we picked these. Woodford Reserve Rye is said to be about
53% rye, 33% corn.
Okay. And the rest malted barley.
Yeah, 14%.
Elijah Craig, 51.
51 rye, 35 corn, 14 barley.
Okay. Wild Turkey,
51 rye, 37 corn, 12 barley.
Okay. And the Baby Saz is undisclosed because Buffalo Trace doesn't talk about any of their mash bills.
From older articles when they used to hint at things, it was 51, 39, 10.
Okay.
So
we're talking about barely legal ryes.
It has to be at least 51% to be considered a rye.
Correct.
51%.
And then the rest is made up of whatever. In the case of the Bullet, there's no corn. So that's why we put it last.
Yep, get me nice and primed up with the first 4.
I set this order specifically. We're going to start easy with the Woodford, which is my dad's favorite whiskey.
Nice.
Loves it. And kind of going to ease you into it. And then hopefully by the end of this, you may or may not like the Bullet.
And you may not even know if you like it. You may be drunk enough.
That's,
So
you never know till you know. Here,
that's kind of what we're doing. We're calling this the ABCs because approachability, budget friendly, and convenience. Convenience meaning these are very widely available.
Yep.
The asterisks, Baby Saz, can sometimes be a little bit, although it is available pretty much anywhere here.
Yeah, I've been seeing it 3 or 4 deep on the shelf. So,
but we may get a comment or two that says, "I've never seen that on the shelf." And I know
the Heaven Hill 7-year. I see people post that all over saying first time getting it and haven't seen it, and I'm like, I've literally walked past cases of it and not bought it in liquor stores here. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that may be the only kind of outlier that some people may have a hard time finding, but literally the rest of them probably everywhere. So
cool.
Let's start out with the Woodford, Jimmy, and see what we think.
Woodford has been a solid option on the bourbon side.
So you like Woodford bourbon?
Mm-hmm. I like the nose of this one so far.
This is extremely light for rye. My dad has really very little taste buds, and he can't pick out different flavors. He just knows if he likes something or not, and he really, really likes this.
Shout out to Mike's dad. He's a good guy, and he's just like me. You either like it or you don't. I don't know. I don't pick it apart quite as bad as these guys do. I like this one so far.
That's almost like a cinnamon bread, or cinnamon roll. It's very light on the cinnamon. There's a nice bready quality to it.
If you would have given me that blind and not told me it was rye, probably wouldn't even have known. It tastes a lot like some of the other, non-rye things we've had.
Yeah.
Some
Or
high-rye bourbons.
high-rye bourbons.
High-rye
I
bourbons
mean,
will get you.
that's where where I tried to do this is I wanted to pick something that was barely legal rye that would be on that same plane as a high rye bourbon, and
Right.
I think all 4 of the 5
Okay,
match that.
we're off to a good start.
Okay, so that's you could do that.
I'll probably end up having to buy a bottle of that. These guys have totally
Okay.
wrecked my whole
we'll
motif.
kind of get
You're
into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into the price. Now, I did budget friendly.
Yep.
All of these, Jimmy, are going to be right up your alley. Woodford Reserve's probably the most expensive
is.
one, and
Yeah.
it's still sub $40.
See, to me, that does classify for budget friendly in a rye, because rye is a more expensive grain. We were talking about that. Where we live, we constantly get the farm futures and corn and wheat and all that stuff, so we get it.
Yeah. So even at what 36,
Even at
37.99,
not
I
bad.
mean, you're out the door for $40. So here in Central Kansas.
That's a winner.
Cool.
All right.
Elijah Craig.
Old EC had good luck with their bourbons as well. Let's see.
Love Elijah Craig. Just their standard offering is just solid.
Mhm.
I mean, it's good for especially at the price point that it is, $30.
You have standard
Okay.
bottles.
Yeah, the kind that most people buy, not the hyper allocated unicorn shit.
So that one,
This one, a little smooth.
Yeah,
Not a
it's-
lot of punch.
really nice. It's going to be, I think there's just a little bit more to it than the
Mhm.
Woodford. But the
Agreed.
Woodford's only 90 proof. This is 94. But there just seems to be a little bit more something there. Baking spice.
Little bit.
It's not a lot more.
It'd be terrible if we made old fashions or Manhattans with all these to try them out as well.
Yep.
That's how so getting to the next one, the Wild Turkey 101, that's how I make all of my barrel-aged old fashions and
Nice.
barrel-aged Manhattans, is all with Wild Turkey 101 rye and sometimes a combination of Wild Turkey 101 bourbon, a bottle of each. So
Not
it's
too shabby.
fantastic for cocktails too.
So, I liked the Elijah Craig. And again, it if you've listened to any of my ramblings when we get off on kind of the Scotch stuff, if it's super smoky, super peaty, that's where I fall out. With ryes, if it's really kind of spicy and has that, there's just a weird funk with the rye, I fall out. These first two didn't have that. So far, so good.
All right.
2 for 2.
Nice. And the price of this is what, 25-ish or 30?
30
It's
to
30 to 35. It's just about $5 less than the Woodford.
Okay.
Okay. That
So
would
yeah,
be a
we're
solid.
right there. We're about
you're-
that $30 to $35
Yeah, a
mark.
little more
So-
proof, like you said, a little more zip to it.
Now, Jimmy, this one may
Oh,
be
boy.
Maybe talking to you a little bit, because we ramp up the proof a little bit, but
Dang.
we come down in price significantly.
I-
This thing's about $25-ish. You're welcome.
I mean, my mind is already telling me I'm going to like it. So,
Well, let's try it out.
Been kind of on a Wild Turkey family kick recently, again on the bourbon side. So
Okay.
we're going full circle.
There's not as much on the nose though. Like
See, there's more going on. There's a almost like a fir tree evergreeny mint
Oh,
thing
yeah.
going on the nose. It's brighter than those two.
A little bit.
yeah,
What are we looking at for mash bill on it? This one's also like 51%.
37% corn. Yeah, it's 51%, 37%.
This definitely has a little more of the spice flavoring. And the proof, I think, probably kind of amplifies it, but it's not too much. It's not over the top.
Yeah, there's definitely
But
more. There's definitely more punch there.
Yep.
So I've done a good job leading up
Yep.
to these
Oh,
first
boy.
3 of amping it up a little bit each time.
Don't get nervous.
And you start shaking.
Yeah.
Now, if you can imagine, if you like whiskey forward cocktails, like an
Mhm.
old fashioned, like a whiskey sour, like a
Whiskey neat.
Manhattan, whiskey neat, whiskey on ice, you know,
Technically, it's a cocktail. Yeah.
this, yeah,
To the glass.
yeah. So this would hold up very well in a
would.
cocktail, and it's actually one of the most suggested to use because of the price, because of the proof,
Mm-hmm.
because that it's a rye. A lot of people use ryes in cocktails just because it stands up.
It does, and I think that would kind of, to your point, cut through whatever else you mix, like in an old fashioned. I can see why. I know where we're going, but I can see why that would kind of stand out.
My favorite in old fashioned still though is the bullet. So
That's how. So my wife does not like whiskey. We've discussed this, but she likes a hot toddy.
Yeah.
And she likes, and I've made hot toddies with multiple different ryes, and she likes the bullet 95 rye.
Oh,
that's big fan. My boss is a big fan. He's a bullet rye guy. I mean, I'm waiting to get there, but he won't drink anything else but a bullet rye old fashioned.
Yep.
So,
well, let's go to Buffalo
All
Trace,
right.
shall we? Let's see what.
baby sads.
Baby sack.
This one again, somewhere in that barely over 50% rye and upper. We got more corn, less barley on this one. Rumored, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could have swapped the wild turkey and this, made this number 3 and to build up, because
I don't know. This one's got a funk.
It's funky
flavor.
I said baby sack.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll get you back one day.
yeah, I don't know how to come back to that one.
So
You don't.
Yeah, it's not overpowering. Like
No,
the spice note isn't there, but there's something that's just kind of bleh.
what do you mean you're not like hopping on the Buffalo Trace fandom?
Nah, I mean, I like their stuff
I fell off that thing years ago.
when I can find it and afford it, but I don't know if I'm a baby Saz.
Okay, so this one.
The first 3 were okay. This one I wouldn't give a thumbs up to.
Okay, so depending on your area, here it's like just over $35, $36, I think, maybe 37.
Yeah.
But I think you're
Can't
going to probably see this anywhere between $30 and $40. So
Yeah.
least favorite thus far. Obviously.
Least favorite thus far, unfortunately.
He'll power through Old Crow.
Yep.
Here, I'll take it.
A guy's got to know his
That's
limitations.
pretty good. Listen, I don't
Everybody's
mind
got
that.
their own thing, man.
The funk gets me too.
It's not my
I'll-
favorite of the 3.
Sure, but
Yeah, the other 3
you're
are.
not shying away from it, and I would.
The other 3 are much better.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a fair assessment. Now we're
Yeah.
coming into the home stretch with Bullet.
Okay. Now the Bullet 95. A lot of people may probably already know this, but Bullet 95 is actually MGP,
Which is
and
still good.
Which
You're
yes,
not that white rapper kid? Oh, it's MGK. Never mind. Sorry.
You down with MGP?
this is their famous 95% rye mash bill, which consists of
All right.
rye
baby.
and malted
A
barley.
little bit of barley.
All
Kind of
right.
round it
All
out
day.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what you think.
All right. Let's.
This one's more on par with as far as the nose goes.
Yeah, with the
it kind of
first-
get that. I want to call it like an evergreeny
Wild.
Christmas
turkey.
vibe
Mhm.
thing going on
Okay.
as the wild turkey. But it
Put
maybe
them out.
the proof may play a difference here too.
Yeah. Nope. No, I mean, it doesn't hit you over the head. It's a subtle. It's just a flavor profile that I don't pick up on.
Okay.
It's just not for me. I would drink it though. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not my favorite. I'm still gonna drink it.
Man. I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to. You can pour it in
Maybe
my
one
glass.
more sip just for science.
Okay.
Just a sip. Sip it.
You almost got me, goddammit.
See,
This is what I think of when I have tasted rye in the past. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of rye. I'm down
Yeah.
with the 51 percenters.
yes.
You get up into the top end.
51%ers.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, all of these, we kind of touched on all of them as the ABCs, the approachability. I think we've kind of narrowed it down, at least for Jimmy's palate.
Yeah.
First 3.
The first 3 are really, really nice as far as if you're going to introduce somebody who has never experienced rye or has had a negative experience with rye.
Indeed.
So our suggestion, and I know Jimmy will agree with this, one of these 3.
Yep. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
If you want the I would say even probably one of the first two, unless you are just wanting that extra punch.
Yeah,
of
if you
the
want to do
proof.
for a cocktail, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think you could go wrong. You know, if you're into the 101 type stuff, then yeah, that one had a little bit more juice to it. But
Yeah, if
the first
you're-
two were very mellow.
If you're into proofy stuff, or you're already into wild turkey stuff,
Yep.
yeah, the rye's a no-brainer.
If you're wanting to get into it because you like to sip your whiskey neat or on an ice cube, I would say for sure one of these
Mhm.
two. If you want to do that, that's fine to do it with, but that one's going to offer you a little bit more. I wouldn't make a cocktail with the Woodford rye.
Probably
It's
not.
just
It's
not.
too-
It's just not enough to stand.
It's a
up.
little weak. Yeah.
So if you're gonna want to make cocktails with it, it's the most expensive. Probably just kick it out of there.
Yep. Cocktails with the other ones. would
Yeah.
be-
So if you're wanting a wide range of uses for it,
Mhm.
one of the Elijah Craig or the Wild Turkey, my opinion is the Wild Turkey offers a whole lot more bang for the buck. It's the cheapest one out of this bunch by
Yes.
at least $5 or $6,
$10.
$10. So
It's $25.
I would buy it. I mean, I know that shocks everybody, but as we're getting more and more rounded in the
Oh,
bottom
dude.
shelf gym profile,
Oh,
that
you-
was.
so you were dreading this video.
I've been putting this off for months. These
He's-
guys have been trying to talk about doing a rye.
He dreads anything Scotch and rye.
Yeah,
We say those words, and he's like,
Yeah.
I have
I'm
to-
just making up excuses not to come over and
He
film.
purposely
I
tore a
had-
blower motor out of the
I
vehicle
literally-
just to not come over.
I almost went over and off camera before we started filming this video and had to grab your hand and say, "Come on,
Yeah,
Jimmy,"
these guys.
leading the horse to the water. But I
I
felt like I'm not gonna put you in harm's way.
I feel the
Ain't gonna
love.
lead me into this water.
Yeah, you guys didn't go crazy. I mean, you know, it's not all about me. I mean, mostly it is. But if you are like me and rye has just kind of never been your jam, like we said, the first three, you know, they meet the ABC criteria. You're not going to go broke. You're probably going to find it almost everywhere. And it's not over the top. You start getting into the, you know, the other side of the ledger. Yeah, if you're into ryes, it's probably more up your alley. But
Yep.
so this was a good segment because we might help other idiots like me that are kind of shy of the rye. See what I did there?
Yeah.
But I dig it.
What was it that you were saying before we started filming?
All right, all right, all right.
And with that, smash the like, comment, subscribe, check
Yeah.
out the swag. We've got
Yeah.
the I Make Poor Decisions. I've got shirts with just the logo here and on the back. We've got blue Glens, we've got sweet hats, and we'll probably be working on some more because
Yeah.
I've already got an idea that
We've got a
I've
whole
spun
apparel
for-
line coming out. Well, 100% of the proceeds go to buying more of this shit so we can review it for you guys. So.
With that, we'll see you next time right here on Thin Blue Whiskey.